So for today's lesson, we are going to be talking about using primary and secondary resources to describe how diverse groups have shaped the United States multicultural society. So our objective is doing just that. So our objective is that you will be able to use primary and secondary resources to describe how diverse groups have shaped the United States society. So first, I kind of just want to talk about last week. So do you remember last week when we researched our animals? Yes, you do. So we used research to find out more about these animals. And we used factual evidence, to learn more about it and learn why these animals are important, what they do, how they affect ecosystems, etc. So what animal did you pick, Andy?
I researched grizzly bears.
Awesome. She researched grizzly bears. And can you recall any facts or anything about your grizzly bear research?
I remember that grizzly bears are predators at the top of the food chain, and they hunt large mammals, and one of those is a moose.
That was amazing. Thank you so much for sharing, Andy. So you were able to recall these facts that you researched, and that is such an important thing because you learned from it, and now you have this knowledge on grizzly bears, and that's awesome, Andy. So today we're going to be using our same researching skills that we used last week with our animals, and we are going to be researching primary sources and secondary sources. And this is going to help us in our research. Andy, do you know what a primary or secondary resource is?
I've never heard of it.
She's never heard of it. So we're going to talk about what those mean. So a primary resource is an original object, document, or any type of first-hand information. So an example of this could be Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream speech, the transcript of his speech, because those were his words. And that's a first-hand document. And a secondary resource is that it's a resource that analyzes, assesses, interprets a historical event, era, phenomenon, whatever it may be, and often it utilizes a primary source. So for example, it could be an article analyzing Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream speech. So with that being said, today we're going to focus on this question, and we're going to think about how we can use these primary and secondary sources to learn history, and why is it important? Why is it important for us to learn history about the United States, all the different diverse groups, how this has affected us, and really how we can use these sources to do that. So right now I'm going to start you off, and I'm going to have you research about a certain diverse group. I know we've talked about diverse groups in the past, so we know about that. So I'm going to have you research any type of diverse group you want, and I want you to try to find as many primary and secondary resources as possible. I'm not going to put a number constraint on you because I don't want you to be focused on that. I want you to be focused on finding really, really strong resources. And yeah, so if you have any questions, do you have any questions?
No.
Okay, perfect. So get to researching, and we will come back in a couple minutes. So how's it going, Andy?
It's okay. I feel like I have a few things I can talk about.
Awesome, awesome. All right, keep researching, and I'll be right back in a couple minutes.
Thank you.
So can you show me kind of some of your sources?
Okay, so I think that I found one primary source right here.
Awesome. So why did you decide to do this diverse group of people?
I chose this diverse group because my family is Jewish, so I know that the Jewish culture is a diverse group after growing up in a Jewish family.
That's awesome. Thank you for that. And then Okay, Andy, so why did you choose this source and why do you think it's an important source to have?
So I chose this source because it shows me Anne Frank's direct beliefs and perspectives since she wrote it herself.
Nice.
And I think that's important because we're getting to see directly from her rather than someone else's words.
Awesome. So it's a first-hand experience that Anne Frank had in the Holocaust.
And I have a question for you, Ms.
Yeah,
Batista.
of course.
So if I use this source right here, which explains what Anne Frank was saying,
Okay.
is that my example of my secondary?
That would be a great example for your secondary source, yes, because it's analyzing the primary source, which is her diary, and this is kind of explaining just that. I think that's an awesome secondary source, Andy.
Thank you.
Of course. Alrighty, class. So we're going to take about 30 more seconds, finish your research, and then we'll get back together. Alrighty, class, so we're going to kind of wrap up our research for now, and now I'm going to have you guys look at all of your sources. I know some of you have already been kind of sorting them into primary and secondary, but now I'm going to have you guys officially sort them. Count how many primary you have, count how many secondary sources you have, and then we'll kind of come back together, and I'm going to have you guys share with a partner. So go ahead and sort your sources if you haven't done so. Alrighty, class, so now I'm going to have you turn to a partner and you're going to talk about your research, your diverse group, and your sources. I want you to talk about how many primary sources you found, how many secondary you found, and I want you to really think about with your partner, why is it important to know this history about your group and how you think it affected the United States. And I'm going to have you talk about this for a couple minutes with your partner, and if you have any questions, please raise your hand and I'll be walking around. How's it going over here, you guys?
I think it's good. My partner agrees that for what I chose was primary and secondary, they agree that each applies.
Awesome, awesome. Keep working, you guys. Great job. Awesome, we're gonna go for another 30 seconds. Alrighty, class, let's wrap it up. Thank you so much for your conversations. It sounds like you guys are having really awesome conversations. So Andy, I do have one more question for you. What did you learn about your group and how do you think it affected our history in the United States?
I learned that reading about Anne Frank's diary teaches us information about what actually happened. Especially since this didn't happen in the United States.
Right.
It gives us a perspective about this part of the world and a historical event that still impacted us but didn't happen exactly where we are.
Great, great, awesome, Andy. So, to wrap up the lesson, such a good job, you guys. I'm going to have you guys go onto our classroom website really quick. So go ahead and get onto our website. And once you are on my page, you guys are going to see today's class, and you'll click on today, and you'll see an assignment that's called exit ticket. And I want you guys to fill out the exit ticket before you leave, and that will be your ticket out of class for today. So awesome, so start working on your exit ticket, and we'll wrap it up.